Jian Fang, I hope I'm pronouncing this name correctly, of China was a happily married man who eventually had his first child with his beautiful wife. Obviously, this is normally a time of joy and celebration. However, although this is not politically correct to say, and maybe not morally either, he was disturbed by his child's appearance. No, the child did not have a disease or any deformities. Jian was perplexed because he felt his child was ugly. Yes, ugly was the word he used to describe his own child. And this thought was not fleeting. It bothered him to the point where he did discuss this observation with his wife and concluded that perhaps she cheated on him, because to him the child also did not look like him nor his wife. I imagine his wife was horrified by her husband's observation and accusation, but believe it or not, the wife did have to come clean to her husband about something she had never disclosed to him, and it actually shed light on her husband's dilemma. She had actually had plastic surgery in her past, and that is most likely why the child doesn't resemble a child that would look like hers. So I'm assuming the child came out looking more like the mother, which is why the child also doesn't look like the father either. The child looks like the mom pre-plastic surgery. Well, you would think the husband maybe just might have pondered over the situation and quietly worked through it for the sake of his biological child, ugly or not. Well, not only did he not remain quiet, he took his wife to court for misleading him about her plastic surgery, and he won the case. She was ordered to pay him $120,000 in 2012. Robert Lee Brock is not only not a good criminal, but he is also a horrible lawyer and thinker, if that's a crime. In 1995, Robert Lee Brock was incarcerated at the Indian Creek Correctional Center for breaking and entering and grand larceny. And instead of just serving out his sentence for his wrongdoing, he had the brilliant idea to take himself to court for $5 million for the crime he had committed caused by drinking, which also caused him to violate his own civil rights. Yes, I'll say that again. In 1995, Robert Lee Brock took himself to court for $5 million for the crime he committed caused by him drinking, which caused him to violate his own civil rights. I'll explain further. This genius court case was based on the premise that Robert abandoned and violated his religious beliefs, which forbids drinking, which resulted in him getting arrested, whatever that means. And because he was now in state custody with no income, the state must pay the $5 million judgment, Brock said. And I quote, "I caused myself to violate my religious beliefs," Brock insisted. He angrily demanded $5 million from himself, but insisted that the state should pay it on his behalf because he was a quote-unquote warden of the state, end quote. Do I really need to tell you the judge threw out his case? I can only imagine how insulted the judge felt when this case was placed on his desk, even for review. The fact that he had to read the particulars of this case and even dismiss it was probably torturous in itself. Shout out to the judges holding it down for the just and the unjust. In 2006, Alan Heckard sued Michael Jordan and the founder of Nike, Phil Knight, for $832 million. I repeat, $832 million. He was seeking $416 million from Michael Jordan and $416 million from Phil Knight. He was upset with Jordan because he looked like him and was often mistaken by him from the general public. And he was annoyed with Phil Knight for promoting Michael Jordan for his Nike brand and making his popularity skyrocket even more. He claimed his grievances have lasted for 15 years because of this dynamic duo, who both are equally responsible for half of his misery. He sued for emotional pain and suffering, defamation, and personal injury. Thank God Mr. Heckard eventually dropped the lawsuit and didn't make anybody suffer through this case, where essentially the plaintiff is accusing the defendants of 1, being born, and as they say, looking like he looking, for Jordan, and 2, successful advertising for Phil Knight. You can't make this stuff up, but all 3 people in this story really tried it.